in comparison immediately to the original one, the acting is beyond upgraded, uplifted. It is night and day, the caliber of acting. Because like a couple minutes into the first one, 1986's version, it's bad already. And they're not even trying. I'm sure, again, like I alluded to the first one in that review, the budget did not afford for them to do a lot of retakes and be like, well, that was a shit take. Let's just do it all over again and be here all night till we get it right. I'm sure it was just one and done. Okay, that wasn't too bad. We'll just try to fix it with sound effects, indoor music, and drown out the horrible fucking line reads we just had right now. This one really steps it up with the caliber of acting. Again, with Peter Dinklage, Kevin Bacon, Elijah Wood. Even though you don't get a lot of Elijah Wood, he's there. He plays his role right. It's really Peter Dinklage carrying the whole cast, movie, story, and the heart of all things surprisingly found throughout the film, all on his tiny shoulders. And that's not to put him down as far as being a little person is concerned, but he does a very good job here overall because in comparison right away, this one is also based roughly in a made-up town of New Jersey, which not a lot goes on in New Jersey. I'm sure in the outskirts of New Jersey as well, even less goes on. But this one's based in New Jersey too, just like the original one, because I think they mentioned it first, I forget, but it was confirmed later on when they show a part of a car getting bashed into, because once he turns into the Toxic Avenger, he falls on top of the car. It shows a New Jersey license plate. So at least that part was confirmed. Now, this one, the premise is, what's so crazy about this one is that it's the same character. It's a reboot / remake of the Toxic Avenger. This version has a lot of heart to it, which in comparison to the original one from 1986 is surprising because they take the same character, but they tell I wouldn't say a whole different story as in completely different, but they went a different way. They gave it like a kind of typical, formulaic kind of like, hero gets wrong, the killed becomes a hero, superhero with some sort of powers, whatever they fucking bestow upon he, she, they, them, it, gets revenge and becomes a hero to the town. And, we'll see pretty much to get a sequel. It's pretty formulaic, this version, the brand new version, in comparison to the old one, which again was serving to the audience it wanted to attract and it knew it was catering to. But it just so happened to turn into a cult classic, cult favorite, something a lot of people finally remember. And I get it now because, again, as a brand new fan myself of the OG 1986 Toxic Avenger, I get the hype, the build-up, the anticipation leading into a brand new remake for 2025. Well, finished in 2023, as I mentioned, but of course, just now I think it got distribution, and I forget who agreed to do it. They basically release it now in 2025. So this one is Peter Dinklage as a stepfather, a widow to, I think the kid cleared it up. They didn't get married, so kind of stepfather without being married to the mother of the kid. He's a stepfather of. Watching over him, he's an employee of a big evil corporation called BTH, which is roughly compared to Big Pharma in real life, aka, in other words. He's an employee there. He works for them as a janitor for like more than 10 years. It turns out he's sick. He's got like, bad migraines due to like really hemorrhaged brain or something like that, like a bad brain, basically. So shout out to bad brains too, but not that kind of bad brain, but a literal bad brain, to the point where the doctor tells him after doing some scans, he's going to die. And at most, he's got 6 months to like a year to live. On top of just being, broke, in debt. He does get paid. He does have a steady job, but he can't afford to live, basically, because he's too busy paying for like therapy sessions, coping sessions for the kid since his mom passed. And the doctor says, well, there is this brand new experimental medication that you could take, and I'm sure your insurance will cover it. But then they allude to the insurance being as it can be in real life. And I can attest to it because I work in health insurance, unfortunately. Not unfortunately, I work in the field, but unfortunately, I've seen those stories, how they play out. Unfortunately, in that sense, they won't cover the medication because he has a platinum plan, but it's only up until the gold plan that they do cover it, and he doesn't have those benefits. And you would assume having platinum being better than gold, you would just have gold and everything beneath it incorporated, but it's a different tier, and it's actually a funny bit how they play into it. Sad but funny how they play into it, basically. So then he has no choice but to ask and beg, basically, his big CEO boss, in this case Kevin Bacon, the bad guy who runs the whole company, BTH, for a favor. If he could get his help, he's been an employee, he's been loyal, he's the janitor, he cleans up all the mess literally that they make day in, day out. It looks like he's going to help him, but he has a secretary lead him out of the ball, the gala, where he hits him up to hit him in person. They make fun of him, fire him, rehire him just to fire him again. He gets pissed, he takes that personal, so then he goes and breaks into his job to break money out of a vault, which I don't know what company, what big evil corporation would keep money on site where employees have access to it if they go rogue like that, like he did. All at the same time, there's two reporters, a black girl that works with an older white guy, that are trying to expose BTH as an evil corporation, purposely polluting and contaminating the water and the inhabitants in that small town. But these goons called the Killer Nuts, this rap, rock, horrorcore group that works for BTH and or Kevin Bacon at his orders and commands, pull up on them at the very beginning of the movie, kill off the white guy, but have to give chase to the black girl who does have the proof. I forget what it was, like security footage or some shit of them doing what they're pretty much guilty of doing. All that's going on while Peter Dinklage and or Melvin, I think his name was in this movie. No, was it Melvin or was it? I forget if they named him Melvin or gave him another name this time around. But point being, he goes back to work. He robs the money that's on site at the job place. He gets caught along with the black girl. The black girl's able to escape, however. The Killer Nuts confront him. And this time around, this is where it differs. Like, remember in the first one when I told you if you watched our review, and if you didn't, please, somewhere around here on YouTube, or at least Spotify, I'll link you to that. Melvin throws himself into the toxic waste after throwing himself through a window from the second floor because he's being chased after being harassed and pranked badly by the evil teens in that movie. This time, he's cornered by the Killer Nuts, the group of goons for hire. He gets shot dead in the head. No, he gets shot in the face and he's presumably dead. They get the orders from Elijah Wood, the brother of Kevin Bacon in this one, the head of security for the company, to throw him into the fucking toxic waste, which gives him his powers. As, Melvin got in the first one, but this time around he's dead, thrown into the toxic waste to decompose and shit, but instead he gets his mutant powers and turns into Toxic Avenger, this time thrown in there with his mop, which, unlike the first one, the mop was just a prop as far as that's his signature, kind of like the Toxic Avenger was here. My mop is proof. This time the mop goes in with him when his dead body and comes out as his weapon while he turns into the Toxic Avenger. So that was pretty cool and different right there. Different little twist and turn, and the mop turns out to be a very high caliber weapon / his right hand, basically. It's with him at all times. It has its toxic powers as well, and it's very highly effective. And it's shit like the mop becoming a weapon, pretty much his go-to weapon of sorts, default mode, where the movie, this version at least, becomes its own thing, takes its own route, besides the fact that already with the cast alone, the acting caliber is way up here, surpassing the 1986 version. It's a lot better acting-wise already, but then on top of that, they actually give something as niche, as much of a cult classic as the Toxic Avenger was, an actual story, and a whole different story to go by. So he's dead. He comes back to life as a Toxic Avenger. He's getting revenge on the people that did him wrong, but now he has a purpose too, as far as a whole corporation to go after to bring them down, because he's trying to get back with his kid in his good graces. He's trying to do right because he was wrong so much. And early in the movie he says, it's best not to do anything when, trouble's afoot, because why get involved? Why get into trouble? But now his whole purpose is to, you know, resolve any trouble, any wrongdoings going on as a crime fighter, as a Toxic Avenger this time. But half the size of the original Toxic Avenger, because the OG one from 1986 was like made to look like he was 7 feet tall, superhuman and shit. He is too now, Peter Dinklage, but of course it's Peter Dinklage. He's like maybe, I don't know how tall he is offhand, but maybe like on a good day, he's probably like 4 feet something at most. So it's a very tiny, compact Toxic Avenger. So they had to give him that toxic mop to help him literally reach all the other guys. And did he kill any women? Yeah, he did. He killed some. To actually reach them and have a fighting chance to beat them up, besides, punching the shit out of their shins and knees and whatever else he could reach within his, tiny stature. So that was fun, and that's a different spin on things, of course, and presumably so. I would have thought, even if it was Peter Dinklage as the OG Melvin before he turns to the Toxic Avenger, the Toxic Avenging Toxic Genes would have turned him into a full-grown man. No offense, playing down the fact that Peter Dinklage ain't a full-grown guy, but, you know what I mean. But, no, they kept him the same size. So, I guess with the mop, it makes up for things. Fuck it, right? And again, the gore, the violence, the shit you would expect from the OG one is there, but not at the expense of sacrificing the story to telling now this time around with this version. So you'll get the heads exploding. You'll get the guts unraveling. There's one part where he stops a robbery this time around instead of a Mexican restaurant like the old one. This time around, it's in a burger joint. Where their whole thing is like, it used to be Mr. Meat, now it's Mrs. Meat. So he breaks in, he stops the robbery, he's ripping some guy's guts from out his asshole. He takes the mop that's full of the toxic shit and rips some guy's jaw off. It's all over the place with the violence. So don't think because it's 2025 and people have gone woke, they make fun of the woke shit, the he, she, they, them, gender identity shit. So it's right up your alley if you want something that's making fun or poking fun and all that type of shit. It's there. So it's there in spirit, in its truest and bloodiest and goriest form. So believe me, you'll walk away happy if you're looking for the gore, as you did with the old one. And if you love the old ones, it's there. It's there by the ton. The guts, the blood, the brains, all that shit. This one is also funny when it needs to be or wants to be funny. It's not trying to be, it's not forcing it down your throat, but it delivers on everything it offers to you, as far as the funny, as far as the puns, as far as the joke after joke. It's not super jokey either. It's not super campy like the old one was, but it is funny. I'll very, very much so give it its just due in that sense. There was a part I really looked forward to once my ears perked up when I heard Motorhead, rest in peace Lemmy, Overkill being played, when he finally confronts the Killer Nuts on stage at a local festival. The opening drums playing at full speed, at loud as possible, but then Peter Dinklage is actually singing. I think he's actually singing over the shit, and he ruins it because obviously he's not a singer. He's a great actor. He's carrying the whole movie on his tiny little shoulders, but goddamn, can that man not sing? It's terrible. And he don't actually play the lyrics, so I'm guessing they only got the rights to play the instrumental version, and they incorporated that shit while he's killing, which would have been the perfect theme to just let the song play out like that while he's killing the band one by one. But I'm sorry, he did ruin it with the fucking vocals of Peter Dinklage over Motorhead's Overkill. They eventually capture the Toxic Avenger with the Black Reporter girl, with the purpose of stealing his blood to try to replicate another Toxic Avenger, and or in this case Kevin Bacon just wanted his blood to drink it himself so that he could become his own Toxic Avenger and fight him at the end like he does as a bad guy would. But he's unable to match the powers and the wits once they finally go one-on-one. He becomes a goat man of sorts with some sort of powers, but it's not enough to combat the Toxic Avenger. When they fight, of course, Toxic Avenger has to win. His death is funny, Kevin Bacon, because leading into it, the brother, Elijah Wood, he's like a gimp. He looks like the Penguin, basically, like Colin Farrell's Penguin from the Batman. He switches sides because he's seeing what he wants to do at the end, which is kill off the Toxic Avenger, take his blood, and kill his kid at the same time. you know, hit him where it hurts, close to home. So he manages to free the kid when he's taken hostage. He turns out to be good at the end. Kevin Bacon is killed off. He's put headfirst into an engine of the car of the black girl. Toxic Avenger tells him to turn on the engine, rev that shit, and he just gets, as one would, I guess, if you go headfirst into an engine, especially with a goat head, you start swirling around. It's just nothing but like a fountain of blood and guts flying all over the place. So that was funny, I'll admit. The visual does it much more justice than I can just describing it to you. Although now there's space for a sequel because in one part, like in the middle of the movie, one of the goons working for Kevin Bacon, one of the goons working for the mob boss that Kevin Bacon owes money to because his whole company was failing the whole time, he gets his arm ripped off trying to hunt down and find the Toxic Avenger's kid. No. I fucked it all. No, sorry. So the mob boss's goon that Kevin Bacon owes money to is trying to buy the building that the Toxic Avenger lives in with his kid. And when he finally gets the old lady to sign off on the building, that's when Toxic Avenger's coming back home to find his kid. The kid like shoves him out the window, falls onto the guy's car. And then this goon's arms get ripped off when he confronts the Toxic Avenger. We don't see him till later on in the film when he's got his arm like reattached upside down as a part of a gag, but he still lives at the very end. So presumably at the end of the credits when they say Toxic Avenger 2 will come out the box office as they poke fun at, if it makes $1 billion, tell your friends, buy some crypto, invest in the Toxic Avenger 2. Presumably if they do a sequel, which it seems like they left it open enough to do a sequel for it, he'll probably be the main bad guy this time around. Since now it's established, Toxic Avenger's a hero, he's a man of the people, he's a mutant for the people, and that guy lived, as I just mentioned. So I can see it working, though. I could definitely see a sequel this time around. I haven't watched the sequel to the original Toxic Avenger or any of the other ones as well. So I'd have to go back and watch them to see how I feel about them and if this really merits a sequel. But then again, this will be its own thing. So there's no comparing it to the first one because, again, the first one is its own thing and this new one is its own thing as well. To its credit, the first one has some really bad acting, but is funny still at least and really like silly of a watch. And I would, in comparison, go back and watch the old one from 1986 a lot more versus this one has a lot of good acting in it, surprisingly, with a pretty, I say, solid kind of story that does deliver and makes sense. Would I watch it again? Maybe after a while. I don't know. I don't know if I'd go back to it immediately. The old one, I do kind of want to go back to and watch again because it's that silly, even with the gore and the blood and all that shit. It's like just silly overall. This one's like funny. It delivers. Good story. Great acting, like I mentioned. But I'm in no rush to watch it again. But it's pretty good. If you love and remember the first one fondly, you will like this one. But you'll be surprised at the twist and turns story-wise that this one takes in comparison to the old one. It's its own thing. It just happens to be the same character, but I do like what they changed up. I do respect it for that. Peter Dinklage is great. Kevin Bacon's great. Elijah Wood is great. The whole cast, the kid, the black reporter girl, everybody, great. No complaints. There's actually good acting this time around. In that sense, justice was served for the Toxic Avenger of all fucking things. 2025, the remake version. Not too long either. It's just under 2 hours. Pace is decent. It goes along. You don't feel like the just under 2 hour runtime. And again, it's funny when it needs to be funny, but this time around, if I'm not mistaken, this one has more dicks than the first one did, which I was not a fan of. There's human dick and there's Toxic Avenger dick, which I didn't need to see. But either way, good watch. I don't know about running back to watch this one again, but I would definitely watch the old one again and again and again. It's become a guilty pleasure of mine. I would recommend this new one, though. Give it a chance if you love the old one, if you're curious. Maybe don't start off with the first one because this one's going to be a whole lot different. And then you'll be like, I could see the fun I could have watching the first one. This second one's like kind of eased up a little bit, just like a cunt here on the violence and gore, but it's there. Enough to like make you uneasy and queasy if you got a soft stomach. Allegedly, supposedly, people walked out during some screenings. The one I went to today to watch it, including me, was 3 people total, and everybody stayed in their seat and laughed like I did throughout some points. And yeah, you know what? I recommend it though. Still give it a try, give it a watch. It looks like they're working on a sequel regardless of how much money it makes back. If it does make any back, I don't see this making a lot of money, but I hope it does for the sense of, and for the sake of the great acting, the funny enough story that is well told throughout the thing, and the gore and violence that does cater to the OG fans in the 1986 version, but this time around is a 2025 version of the Toxic Avenger. And this has been Who This Been Watching. I just talked to you about the 2025 version of the Toxic Avenger. Still in theaters right now as I release this. Go give it a chance. If not, just wait for streaming. Give it a chance then, however you choose to. But I must ask and plead, please, at Who This Is One, where you can catch me on the socials, on the Twitch, on the YouTube, at Who This Is One, the tag to find me everywhere. Like, subscribe, comment, all that good shit. Share. Do whatever you gotta do. Debate, argue, discuss, contribute. I don't know. Fact check me, fun fact, whatever you gotta do with it.
I saw this coming, and my God, I jumped on it with both hands and been holding on. My ass! My ass!
When I think of asses, woman's ass, something comes out of me.
I don't eat ice, I kick ice! You stupid ice!
You cannot give up yet. You did not let me or my fat ass down, okay?
Yo, it's over. All right, it's over. It's over. Move the mic. Move the mic.
Thank you!
All right.